So I've booted up my lab environment now for the demo, and within ClearPass, if we pop over to configuration, service templates and wizards, sorry, we've got the OAuth2 API user access. I'm not using this in my environment when I'm using the API token. It's only required when you use the OAuth2 grant type of password. That's when you would use this particular service. If we pop over to ClearPass guest, to get here, you just menu and guest in the top right hand corner, and we'll look in the API services and the API clients. Then we've got the API client section where we can create a new API client. So we create a new client ID. We add the operating mode, which is REST API. We select the grant type of client credentials, how long our access tokens will last for, and then select this particular operator profile. In my lab environment, I'm just using the super administrator operator profile, but you could create your own operator profile, which is hidden down here, and associate it with just API services only. That's what my recommendation would be. Once you've created your client ID, you can just do edit on it, and you can see you've got these client credentials here and the grant type of password. So remember what I mentioned a minute ago, if you use the grant type password, then you need the OAuth2 service. If you just use the client credentials, you don't. Anyway, once you've got the API client, there's two login methods that you can use. One, which is the client credentials, which is the client ID and the client secret. And the other option is to use the access token. So I can click generate access token here, and this access token can be used in the API token field within the login method. So that was login method 2. So I'll just show you an example of that in a minute. Okay, so that's all. That's the only two things you need to do in ClearPass. Maybe just the one thing, to be honest. If you go into Visual Studio Code, and I'll just do a new text file. I'll pick a language. I'll scroll down and find Python in the list. Python, there it is. And then the first thing I need to do is import the pyclearpass module. So I'll just do from pyclearpass import star. That's all I need to do. The next thing we need to do once we've imported the module is to create our login variable. Before I do this, I'm just going to show you what exists on the HPE Aruba Networking developer portal. So I've created under the Python section using Python. I've got what the initial code is to import the module. You can literally just click the copy there. And then method 1 for using the client credentials, and method 2 for using the explicitly defined API token, which I just copy and pasted a minute ago into my cache, which I'm going to lose when I copy this. So when we create a login variable, we've got the ClearPass API login, and then we reference in a variable the server name, and then another variable with the API token, and then just dump it straight in there. I'm just going to take a copy of that and cheat. Excuse me. I'm going to paste it in there, and next thing we're going to do is pop over to my API client and just get this token. I'm going to paste the token in here, and I'm going to update the server name here. Okay, and I think we should save it actually. We'll call this roles, because I'm going to do some testing with the roles. And let's just pull in the available roles from the ClearPass server. So I'll just make a variable called roles, and when I start to type API, you can see all the available API modules that are available within pyclearpass. So we're going to look at the policy elements, and we're just going to have a look at the roles. So if we do get underscore role, so you can see there's absolutely tons of methods available. So if I click on role, I can open the bracket, and it explains how to use it. So we've got optional query parameters here, and that's it. So I mentioned in the beginning, we always have to pass in the self, and the self is just login. So we just pass in login, and we'll use one of the query parameters. We use limit 100, and that's it. So then once that's executed, we will return the result into, sorry, we use the print method just to print the roles on the screen. So I'll just hit play in the top right hand corner. Hopefully this just works. Save, maybe try again. Don't know why I didn't return anything. Okay. I don't know why. I think I have to save it before I play it. It seems to be playing up Visual Studio, but okay. So you can see all the results on the screen from executing that code. Must be separated by new lines or semicolons. So what else we're going to do is we are now going to look at how we present that data in a nicer way, which we talked about in the presentation as well, where we looked at that for loop. So I'm just going to copy and paste this in here that I had earlier, and then when I go to the end of the line, we'll just do print role. So then it's going to loop through roles, and for every role I'm going to print the role. That's as simple as that. I'm going to just comment out that, and I'm going to save, and then I'm going to press play, and hopefully it generates it in a nice way this time. So there we go. And if you wanted to maybe just see the name of the roles, for example, there's your little name. So if we just save and play, there we go. We just got the names of the roles. So let's say now we want to delete or add, let's create a new role. So I'm just going to write the word pass on that, so it still executes the function, but doesn't actually print anything to the screen. It just doesn't matter now. So let's go and create a new role. Sorry, yeah, new role. So let's do new role, and then we'll add something in there in a minute. Let's just do that. And then we will do, let's use print so we can print the result on the screen. We do API. Let's look for policy elements. We know it's called new underscore role. And then again, explains how to use the object here. So it says the parameter type body, example with descriptions and object types are below. So we can actually just copy all of that, or just copy to the open brackets, or just copy that in. Okay, so it's up to us. If I'll just show you like this. So if I copy, this is what's nice about the help. I can copy and paste that in like so. Let's call it demo 1234. Let's just not have a space in it. And in here, demo example. So when we come back to our policy elements new role here, and we were just reading how it works, we'll open brackets at the end, we'll pass in login, and then we do comma, and at the top it's turned into blue. It's showing that we're body and we need to add something in for body. So we could write the word body equals new role, and at the top we'll just update our role, our body name, our dictionary object to be called role. That's enough now. I should be able to just press play, and it'll hopefully add in the role. So there we go. It's added it. If we try and play again, it'll say, there we go, the role already exists. So brilliant. So then what we can do is we can do a similar thing, but for deleting a role. So we'll just print to the screen. We'll call API policy elements again. Excuse me. And if I just go on that, API policy elements, do a full stop at the end, and we're going to do delete. And we want to do a role, and we want to do it by name, delete it by name. And we can see this time it's got a path parameter, and it requires a name. So okay, so we can just click that. And at the end, open the bracket. So it wants the self, which is always the login. Then we do a comma, and now it's saying what the name of the role is. So if we do name, we can either put in a variable, or we can just write it directly here. So we can do demo 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can press play now. Save it and press play. No output. We press play again. It says it can't be found. So this is what happens sometimes. Sometimes the server will send a response back of what it's done, or sometimes it won't. It's not always consistent, so just be aware of that when you write your code, so you understand the expected behavior of the API functions that you're using. So, okay, let's get information about the particular role that we just made, which there won't be much of it, and we'll just print it to the screen. So we do API, policy elements, full stop, and we'll do get role name by get role name by name there, and then open brackets. We'll pass in login, and we will just pass in the name equals demo 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I've got to put quotes in there. That should be enough. So if I go and play it in the top right hand corner, so we can see that it's got the role name now, and if let's just mess, we can keep it, we can delete it. So let's delete the role. Okay, and then now we can, let's just do that. There's another print statement running up there, so we can see that it's got the role there. A bit surprised to look at that because I was expecting it to be deleted. Not found. Okay. This is what we expected, but then I am getting this print out at the bottom. Let me just save this. Okay, so if I just delete this, I think something's gone wrong. Okay, there's a problem with these demos. So I'm going to delete the role. I'm going to press play. Yeah, it's gone, definitely gone. And now I'm going to look for the role. And it still says it's there. Okay, well, we'll just put a 5 on it. Let's just check. Okay, so we have here object not found. Not sure what went wrong there. Something to do with my Visual Studio tool. It's not ideal really, but I'm just going to have to get past that and we'll move on. So, okay, that was what I wanted to sort of just show with the roles, and that you can, delete the roles and add new roles, and view all roles, and the way that it shows the information or the data that you get from the role API command as well. So we can save that, and we can do one for adding a guest user next. Okay, and then we'll do a guest device, and then we'll add a network device, and then we'll wrap up at that. Apologize about the little issues we just experienced then. So Python here, I'm going to just save this file off the bat. Going to call it guest user. Like last time, we do the import pyclearpass import start. So from pyclearpass import start, let's get the login in there. Okay, so we're ready to go on that bit. So what we need to do this time is create the new guest user. So the quick way really is to use the help function to sort of get the data we need. So the structure that we need to create the variable. So we look at the new guest here. and we got the body. We can see the whole body there. I'm going to copy and paste that in. We're going to open the brackets. We're going to pass in login and body equals new guest user. And then we can paste that above. We just update the name here. That little error goes away. And next up, we can just decide what fields we want and what fields we don't want. So for this example, let's tidy this up a little bit. Okay, email address for the account. Let's leave that enabled. We'll put that as true. We won't put an expire time in here. Notes, we'll leave notes so we can see that's been added. We won't add we'll add a password. A password that could be generated as well. The role ID, there is also a role name. That once I've updated it, this body text will include the role name. But if you were to look on the API Explorer, you would see additional values that you can add in to the body. So now there's role name as well, but at the time when I'd done this there wasn't, but there seems to be now. And then you put the ID. So all the different roles have different IDs. I think the guest is role 3. So we'll just put role 3. Oh no, role 2. Sorry, guest is role 2 and 3 actually. We'll put 2. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and just put a few examples in here and then go from there. I'm just going to take out stuff that I don't really want to use. Start time, username. Just make sure there's no other demos in there basically. I'll just update that email account there as well. And then the visitor name, we can do heads. And let's just do heads there. Okay, and this bit down here is for additional attributes that you would attach with that particular object in the guest repository. We're not doing that. I'm not going to assign a phone number. Notes, true. Yeah, okay, I think that looks alright. Okay, and we've got our method. So what we'll do, we'll just wrap it around in a print. So print it out to the screen, press save, and let's try press and play. Boom, done. So what we could just do is peep into the guest user repository. Let's have a look, manage accounts. And there's my guest user. You wouldn't normally see the password field. I've just added it in to my lab environment just so I can validate that it is doing what it says it's doing. And you've got the account role of guest. These are IDs, but like I said, you can have names as well. But yeah, I'm just using the ID in my environment. The IDs are actually hidden. If you look in think identity role mappings, guest roles, these are the IDs that are mapped over. Just ignore that dodgy one here. But yeah, so I'm just using the guest role ID of 2, which is guest. So then that puts it into the guest environment in this drop down account role list here. But like I said, you can pick the name as well. So okay, so that was just what I wanted to sort of show by create a new guest. Let's just quickly do another example of well, to be honest, while we're here, we could just hash that out and we could just try deleting the guest user. So if we do delete guest user by guest username, open brackets, pass in our login, and it's requesting a change of authorization or a username. So we can put in the username equals, a COA, by the way, is just to boot the user off the network so that when they reconnect, it won't work if you deleted their account, for example. So the username is here. Let's just put that in quotes. Let's print it onto the screen. Let's save it and let's play it. That's a good sign. So we just pop over to here. As I said, sometimes, there you go, it's gone. Sometimes it doesn't give any output. Let's play it again. 404 not found. Cool. Okay. So you can see how easy it is to sort of create guest users. Let's just do another example. Do Python again. And we just save this straight off the bat. And we'll do a guest. We'll do guest device. Okay. Let's be cheeky and just copy and paste this from the other Python script. So we're ready now, and we'll add our guest device. So we'll follow the same principle. We will look at the API identities, and we do new guest. Maybe not new device. Yeah, okay, new device because it's a guest device. So then if we just scroll down here, there's that body we were talking about, and I can scroll and click and take everything, copy it, paste it above. We can call it new device. We can reference login as usual, and then we can do body equals new device. And then we sort of just take what we want to include. I'm literally just going to copy and paste an example that I've got rather than write it all out. So we can just do this. Okie dokie. And we got a time in there as well. We can add the time. Hold on, let me just add time at the top. That means 24 hours. So when the account's created, I just added this in, that it will delete it within 24 hours. So I don't know if this device exists. It probably does. So let me just add a new one, 5.5s. 5.5s, and then last set of 5.5s. I'll put 5.5. Let's just do all that as 5.5s. Okay, so if I'll wrap this round in a print and just save it, play it. There we go. It's created the device. So if I just pop over to the guest device repository, look at manage devices, I can see my test, all my 5s that I've just added there, and that expires on the 14th, which is tomorrow. That's at the time we are on now, and you can see the secret password, but you wouldn't see the Wi-Fi password. But you could use this method, just for example, adding new NPSK devices into ClearPass. It's a simple way to do that. So if you wanted to delete that device, for example, then we'll have a look at API identities. .delete is our friend. Delete device MAC by MAC address. Open up, pass in the login, and then we've got change authorization or MAC. So MAC ADDR equals, put in some quotes, and let's get this here, and then wrap it around with a print. Prints onto the screen, save it, play it, and then it's gone. If I play it again, not found. And if we look in ClearPass, just click that again, vanished. So that's sort of the expected behavior. And if you wanted to get that particular device, let's just make it. Let's clear this off, and then we'll add in a print. API identities, we'll get probably an underscore device by MAC address, and then pass in the login and the MAC address parameter, and then we'll just pass in this MAC address. That should be enough. So it's going to make it and then show it. So we'll get a couple of printouts down there. Like, yeah. So if we press play, okay, we've made it now, and we can see it's just printed the same thing out twice. That's when it created it, and then here's when it's shown me the information about it when I requested it as well. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show was creating a network access device, a new NAD, like when you're going to add a switch or an AP onto ClearPass. So I'm just going to make a new text file again, pick Python from the list. Oh, we struggled to find Python, there it is. I'm just going to save it straight off the bat. Don't know what went wrong with that first one, it's sitting there with a red on it. So that's just NAD. Let's save that, and we will import our stuff from the top. Let's get that from the other one. Let's get the login variable. Okay. So, okay, now we will run the API to create a new device. So policy elements.new network device, and you can see now everything that's required for the new NAD. Naturally, I've got one that I prepared earlier anyway, so I'll just take that. So I'm going to do the new network device. I'm going to pass in the word login, and then we're going to pass in new NAD, new NAD. So body equals new NAD, my bad. Okay, so now we're going to create the variable, or the dictionary object. There it is, new NAD. So we've got a demo 1234, the name of the NAD's 1234, and then I'll just give it an IP address of 100 just to be on the safe side. We've got TACAC secret there as well. We've got the vendor of Aruba, could be an Aruba AP, and then the attributes one as well, which is interesting. So any additional attributes that are added, I've added them like this. So any others, you would just do a comma and follow the same principle, what the name of the attribute is and what the value is. So that should be enough. Let's do a print. So we can print the output to the screen. Let's save that. Let's play. There we go, it's created it. If we pop over to ClearPass, we'll look over here, look at devices, and what did we call it? Demo 1, 2. Oh well, that's it here. Demo 1, 2, 3, 4. It's as simple as that. So you can see it's created it. If we wanted to again delete it, we could just hash that out. Well, let's start off with a print. We do an API policy elements delete network device name by name. Pass in the login. Sorry. And the name we want to use there is whatever the name of the NAD is. So there it is. We can just pull in the whole, with the quotes, the whole lot. I think that should be enough to delete it. We press play. Pop over again. Sometimes you get an output and sometimes you don't. So I just press a refresh. It's gone. Cool. So I mean, what we could try is using pandas to automate the process a little bit more, in the sense of maybe from a CSV. It could be from a third-party server. I'm just going to keep it simple and just have a simple CSV sitting in the background for this example. So let's just, I'm going to use pandas. It's quite a nice tool to use. I'm just going to comment out the line that we used to delete the new device and make the new devices already commented out so they won't execute. I've already got something I was messing around with. Basically, we create a data frame, we reference pandas at the top to read a CSV called network access devices. I will show quickly now the network access devices. So if we click on the network access devices, it's just a simple CSV. We've got the name, description, the IP, and the location, which I'm pulling in as another attribute just to show adding attributes onto a NAD and not just, a name, a description, and IP without extra code that you need to sort of get into that level. So that's all that exists in there. I'm going to do a little bit of copy and pasting now. So I'm just going to create a new method. I call it CSV add devices, and I'm going to paste all this in here. It doesn't look right. There we go. Okay, so basically what's happening here is we've got the data frame and we would have read in this CSV of network access devices. We're going to run our own function which is called CSV add devices, and we're going to iterate all of the rows, and for each row this is what we're going to do. So we've made a new body, which is what we pass in to the API method. So just a new dictionary object, and we add in content that we're getting from the CSV document as well. So if I just put that so it's a bit more readable like this, so you can see that the current item, so the current row that it's on, and then that column name that I want to sort of use for the description. It's the same principle for the name of the device. The IP address of the device is the same. I'm just going to add it onto this line here. I used to have this tool which automatically formats the code for me, which is why it's dropping down. And then we've got location and then the UK here. So for this one, we called it in the CSV just location. So we should be able to swap this for items, and then in square brackets just write the word in quotes. A bit location. That should be there. Save that. It is there, but yeah, I don't know whether it's because a comma's not on the end there. We'll see how we get on now. And then once it loops through each line, we're then going to print onto the screen of creating that new NAD as well. So it will create the body and then add that particular device in. So let's try that out. Okay, so save. Let's press play. And then these were called demo. Okay, so if we pop open up to here, nothing. Demo 1. Let's have a quick look in the NAD. Maybe I've got some new network device. Login, NAD 2. We didn't get any printout when we actually, silly me. I need to tell it to run that particular function that I've made. So I just need to write the word CSV devices, CSV add devices, open and close parentheses, and now we try running it again. There you go. It's added the 3 devices. Silly me. Sorry about that. There you go. So 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, this CSV thing could be another server that you're actually pulling the data from and adding the data into ClearPass to automatically create the NADs or delete the NADs or whatever you wanted. But so these were just some of the simple examples that I wanted to show. There's a lot of functionality available within pyclearpass. It's just up to you to decide what you want to use and then add some code around it. But what I've tried to demonstrate is you don't need to go in create all of the functions to use a particular API method that exists on the server. I've already done it for you. You just got to fill in ultimately the parameters and execute it, and then you just have to write your code around the code that we've written to use the API on the server. Yep, and that concludes the demo.